Have you ever wondered how an ordinary soldier, a man barely known outside his tiny village, rose to become one of Africa's most feared dictators? How the world's most powerful nations trained him, supported him, and then acted shocked when he plunged his country into chaos. Today, we step into the long shadow of Idi Amin and discover the uncomfortable truth behind his rise. Welcome to Legends of the Dominion, where history is not just told, it's revealed. If you're someone who enjoys deep historical storytelling, cinematic narration, and the kind of truth that textbooks often avoid, this episode is made for you. Now, let's begin. History has seen many dictators, but few cast a darker and longer shadow than Idi Amin. His rise was not an accident, nor was it the story of a lone madman climbing to power. It was the result of a broken nation, colonial engineering, and the silent complicity of global powers who believed they could control the monster they were creating. Today, on Legends of the Dominion, we uncover how an abandoned child from a forgotten Ugandan village became one of the most brutal rulers of the 20th century, and how the world allowed it to happen. The story begins not with Amin's birth, but with Uganda itself, a country whose borders were drawn by Europeans who had never seen the land they were dividing. The British stitched together diverse ethnic groups, rival religions, and different cultures into a single artificial protectorate. They empowered some groups while suppressing others, planting the seeds of resentment that would one day explode. Among the tools they built to maintain control was a powerful colonial army known as the King's African Rifles, a force trained to silence uprisings, enforce order, and protect British interests. This would become the institution that shaped Amin's identity more than anything else. Amin's early life was wrapped in uncertainty. Even his birth year is disputed, with estimates ranging from 1923 to 1928. What is certain is that he was born in the remote northern region of Uganda, raised by a single mother after his father abandoned the family. The north was neglected by the colonial government, underdeveloped, and viewed with suspicion, a region the British cared about only when they needed soldiers. Young Idi attended an Islamic school, absorbed the discipline of religious life, and soon discovered that the military offered something no village life ever could: power, stability, and a chance to rise. When Amin joined the King's African Rifles in the 1940s, British officers immediately noticed his towering height, physical strength, and absolute obedience. He was the perfect colonial soldier, disciplined, loyal, and unquestioning. While other Africans hesitated to carry out brutal orders against their own people, Amin did not. Promotions came quickly, and the British used him extensively during the violent Mau Mau rebellion in Kenya. This was where Amin truly learned the power of violence. The colonial system rewarded brutality, and Amin excelled at it. His superiors praised him for his efficiency, ignoring the cruelty behind his success. As Amin rose through the ranks, he absorbed a dangerous lesson. In a country held together by force, the man who controls that force can take everything. The British trained him in advanced military tactics, even sending him to Scotland, a country he would later obsess over, dressing his soldiers in kilts and jokingly offering to become King of Scotland. But beneath the humor, Amin was becoming something far more sinister, a man who saw violence not as a last resort, but as a tool for shaping society. When Uganda gained independence in the 1960s, the British left behind a fragile nation, divided by ethnicity and religion. The army, the institution Amin understood best, became the real source of power. He rose quickly, eventually becoming commander of the entire military. By 1971, tensions with Uganda's President Milton Obote erupted. With quiet support from foreign powers who believed Amin would be easier to control, he seized power in a military coup. The world applauded him at first, calling him a strong leader and a stabilizing force. They could not have been more wrong. What followed were 8 years of terror. Political opponents disappeared overnight. Bodies floated down the Nile. Entire ethnic groups were targeted. Judges, ministers, activists, no one was safe. In 1972, Amin made his most infamous announcement: all Asians without full Ugandan citizenship had 90 days to leave the country. Families who had lived in Uganda for generations were forced out overnight, destroying the economy and ripping communities apart. The world watched in shock, pretending they had no idea the man they once supported could do such things. But the truth is simple: they trained him. They empowered him. They turned him into the weapon he would later unleash upon his own country. Idi Amin's story is not just a story of one dictator. It is the story of a nation fractured by colonialism, a military shaped by violence, and a world willing to ignore suffering as long as its interests were protected. And it is a reminder that monsters are rarely born. More often, they are built. If you found this episode powerful and eye-opening, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Legends of the Dominion, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new documentary. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what other untold historical stories you want us to cover. Your support helps us bring more truth to light.